Today on the Thyroid Fixer podcast, we're going to be diving deep into liver, detoxing your liver, resetting it because it's so important. Really, over 500 metabolic processes occur in the liver. And I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to have my expert guests talk about that. But I want to lead up to this discussion by leading with this topic. So when I was first diagnosed with my uterine cancer, many of you know this. You can go back and listen to the other podcasts where I go through my whole journey. But one of the first things I did is I reached out to my friend Sinclair because I knew that one of the first things I had to do, regardless of what treatment path I chose, I knew that I had to reduce that toxic burden. The toxins that we are exposed to every single day, I don't care how perfect you think you live your life, we are still being exposed 24/7 to a variety of different toxins, chemicals, pesticides, the whole thing that pound our body and pound our liver. And I knew that that was step one, was to reduce my toxic burden, support my liver the right way, and then really kind of start working on parasites and gut and my gallbladder and supporting that, looking at stones. I mean, Sinclair's taught me more about little stones that come out of us than any other person I know. And I knew that this was going to completely up level my health and shore up my body for whatever treatment I decide to go through. Now,
Mhm.
as we record this, I am 20 days after surgery. By day 10, I was back in the gym. So I was 32 days ahead of schedule of recovering. I feel completely and totally normal now. And I really do attribute a big portion of my speed healing and being able to get through the surgery and get through the treatment to my body not having that toxic burden on it. And when your liver is working properly, when I was able, because of Sinclair's help, I was better able to push out all the garbage they put in our bodies during surgery, from the anesthesia to the medications to the PET scan dye that I had to have the week before surgery, the whole thing. Everything that my body was bombarded with, it needed to get out in order to properly heal. So I wanted to bring Sinclair on today so that we could talk more and dive deep into how resetting your liver, detoxing your liver, supporting your body the right way can help you, even if you're just dealing with a thyroid problem or hormone imbalance or gut issues, or if you're dealing with something big and heavy as the big C, cancer. This is an important part of your overall health journey and your healing journey. So, Sinclair, thank you so much for helping me in my journey. You're such an integral part of it. And thank you for coming on to be able to share this information with my audience too.
Oh, it's a joy to be here, Amy, and I love supporting you as always. And I'm just thrilled to see you on the mend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we're talking about the liver today, and there's no better person to talk about that than you. So where do we start? Like I said already, over 500, I'm right, right? Over 500 metabolic processes start in the liver.
Correct. And actually, your liver is responsible for helping your body to process every type of food that you have to deal with. So that's your proteins, your carbs, your fats. And so your liver health is intricately intertwined with your body's ability to absorb and digest food. So it's a core part of your digestive process. It's also a core part of your endocrine system because it's helping to convert your thyroid hormones, right? It's
Yeah.
also helping to process estrogen. It helps to break down hormones once they're no longer needed. So, and helping to regulate these body wide. It's also a major metabolic regulator. So, it's teaching and sending out signals to the rest of your body. Here's how old we should act. Here's how old we really are. Here's how fast we should metabolize things. So it's extremely potent and powerful across really all of our systems. But you're not going to know it's in trouble until it's been suffering for quite some time. So what we say is you're going to see other systems under distress in the body first, like your thyroid. The thyroid's the canary in the coal mine, right? Well, it doesn't mean it's the only thing getting impacted by poison, by mold, by toxins, by heavy metals, or whatever the reason is that your thyroid has been struggling. Your liver is also going to have to deal with all those things and help filter those out of the blood and send them out through either the bile or the kidneys, depending on the type of toxin that it is. The problem is your liver looks fine on tests. And so it's considered subclinical distress for many, many years until you finally develop something like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which over a quarter of adults have in the US now. Or, fatty liver disease that's, yes, alcohol driven or cirrhosis, things of that nature. That's what we think when we think liver. Oh, or liver cancer. These sound very extreme, but the truth is, most of us today have too much stress on our livers, and it's showing up in our thyroid issues, in slow bile flow, right? So, tendency towards constipation with a thyroid issue is often going hand in hand because when you have a slow moving thyroid, so hypothyroidism or even full blown Hashimoto's, that has been clinically correlated to your gallbladder not being able to open that sphincter of Oddi and release bile efficiently. So that's why you have the liver thyroid axis and also the thyroid gallbladder axis. So a two-way communication street where they impact each other. So the slower you are to let go of your toxins, the more pressure that puts on your liver and your thyroid, ergo, the more slower you are to let go of your toxins. So it's this self-fulfilling cycle that it's hard to get out of without a little bit of strategic support. But it's never too late. So other signs that you might have that your liver needs some love right now is skin distress, anything from rashes to aging and fast forward those, wrinkles that were like, wait a minute, how come my sister looks, younger than me, but she's actually older than me?
Yeah.
That would point to this. Or adult acne. That's not just hormonal. How come you have hormonal imbalances? Well, in part, it could be your liver needing some love. Digestive issues we've already named, like diarrhea, constipation, bloating, food sensitivities to fats. Big one. And
Oh.
also histamine intolerance, which is just exploding in women in this day and age. It's bizarre, isn't it?
And that goes hand in hand. I see a lot of histamine intolerance with Hashimoto's, but it's not necessarily cured by treating the Hashimoto's. It's still there because Hashimoto autoimmune people are just more prone to allergic reactions, histamine responses. So that's interesting that could be an answer to basically calming down people's overactive histamine response.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, because
Yeah.
the liver plays a huge role in breaking down histamine. So if it's slowed down in any way by, an overload of toxins, prior or current exposure to mold, I had a bunch of amalgam fillings as a teenager, didn't think anything of it because 100 million Americans have amalgam fillings. So what? Those are covered by insurance, right? That's cost effective. Well, that's really hard on the thyroid and really hard on the liver. And that stress adds up over time. Or maybe you were a kid that had Accutane,
Hmm.
because your mom wanted to make sure you weren't a social pariah and wasn't told of the risks that would be like what a toll it would be taking on your liver long term. And now we know. So there's lots of ways for the liver to be overloaded in this day and age. It doesn't have to be like some crazy exposure. It can be something super normal. What's important to understand is that your liver's great at detoxing. Like it's not like you have to invent detoxing from scratch for your body. Your body's an expert at it, and if you weren't, you'd be dead. you
Right.
you
Yeah.
you're
There you go.
already doing it. So when we talk about detoxing and supporting the liver, what we're really saying is let's provide some strategic support so the liver can speed up in efficiency and you can smooth out and erase all these symptoms that have cropped up. But we
Hmm.
always want to work with the body. We're not trying to override it or outsmart it. So,
Now, quick question. This is a person can have an issue with their liver, but their liver enzyme markers can look totally fine, right?
correct.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
exactly what we were saying before when we were calling most liver distress as subclinical. So you can be reduced to as little as 60% efficiency in the liver. So a 40% drop in your liver's ability to keep up with those 500 jobs, and it's still not showing up on labs. So if
Yeah.
you have any liver issues showing up on your lab work, please be taking that very seriously because that's been coming on for years.
Right. Right.
That's why we go to the symptomology of the skin, the digestion, the aging, the thyroid, because those are going to talk first before the liver shouts on your labs.
That's crazy because I see liver enzyme markers elevated all the time. So to know that this person is probably at what 50 or 60% reduction of proper function of their liver by the time we're actually seeing it on their labs. That's scary because again, what I
Mhm.
said in the beginning, we are exposed daily. I don't care how many organic fruits and vegetables you buy, how you protect yourself left and right. We're exposed. We are exposed all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's important to understand is that a lot of that has to go into storage over the years. So maybe you're all organic now, which is wonderful. But if you grew up on handy snacks and fast food like I did, top ramen with the
Oh
MSG and all that
yeah.
stuff. If you sat in your mom's bathroom and watched her get ready in the morning, like I did in the 80s with the hairspray going off,
Aquanet. Yeah.
Aquanet, right? Tresemme, we love that. I was like, oh, she's so pretty. Why do I feel sick after watching her get ready? That stuff is hard for the liver to get out because those are not toxins that we evolved with, exposure to. So we don't have detox enzyme chains built for that. And what's really important to understand is that your bile flow is the exit pathway that your body loves to use the most. So your liver's making bile and it's putting toxins into that liquid bile to go get stored in the gallbladder and then sent out through the intestine. So
Mhm.
toxins leave through the bowels. That's your preferred way to excrete toxins. You also do it through the kidneys, but your liver also knows that your kidneys are not as resilient as your intestines are. So it's trying to send everything it can through the bile. The problem is bile is not really by nature liquid. It starts out as bile salts, these bile solids. They're made from cholesterol. So it's really important not to vilify cholesterol. If your cholesterol is elevated, there's a good reason for it. Maybe you're not making bile fast enough, for example. Maybe your body needs extra cholesterol to try to fight infections. So cholesterol is there to make bile in the liver, and you also need certain amino acids to conjugate all together. Bile is expensive for the liver to make. So even though it's a super robust organ, it's like, dude, how can we simplify this? Well, it wants to recycle those bile salts. So it will send out waste using the bile as a carrier down into the small intestine. And then your gut lining will pull the bile acids back up and send them into the liver to get reused because they are so expensive. It's like your liquid gold detergent. You can melt it down and reuse it over and over again. But just like any detergent where there's too much pressure put on it or there's not enough to go around, it starts to look more like gross motor oil. So you get these chemicals that are conjugated with these bile acids locked together. And that's actually the beginning of stone formation because it's really hard for your body to break those apart. So, what does your body do when you have bile salts, these bile acids, and chemicals that have glommed onto each other, creating this slowed down, sticky, slow moving bile when it should be nice and thin and watery until it gets into the gallbladder for condensing down to just the right pH.
Mhm.
If you get any interruption, then it gets sticky and sluggish. Your body's going to start to go, okay, I got to do something about this because this is really inflammatory. So I have a lot of cholesterol right here in the liver. I'm just going to pat some around it, make a little cholesterol sandwich around these irritating toxins and these bile salts that have glommed on together and dropped out of liquid form. And then I'll figure out what to do with it later. That's a big problem. That's literally how the flow of your 2000 miles of bile ducts slow down in your liver. That's how those stones form. So gallstones are not just made in the gallbladder. That's how you discover them because you might have a gallbladder attack. That's really scary. And it ends up, in the ER, rightfully so, because it's very intense pain. But where there's stones in the gallbladder, there's absolutely stones in the liver in those 2000 miles of bile ducts.
Mhm.
So that's what most of us have that don't even realize it. So most of our stones are actually just cholesterol based. They're kind of squishy and
Mhm.
gel like, but they still count as a blockage, even though they're not super solid and calcified yet. So
Okay.
that's why we want to think all that through and know that there are blockages in the liver and the gallbladder when we ask ourselves, what would our livers like from support from us? That's not drastic. That's not a surgery if we can help it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say next. How many people have a few gallstones or a gallbladder attack And the answer is take your gallbladder out. I kid you not, I heard this the other day. A patient said to me that her doctor said to her that because she just turned 50, it's time to take your gallbladder out.
No.
No symptoms, no, not, just based on her age, they wanted to take her gallbladder out.
Oh my God, that's so stressful to hear. Okay, so guys, if you already have your gallbladder out and you're listening in, don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging today. You can still feel really good if it's too late, but I want you to understand the surgery before you have it so that you're fully informed. Some people do need to have their gallbladders removed to save their lives.
Okay.
But if you've been told, oh, yeah, it's a simple surgery, don't worry, it is simple for the surgeon. But you want to understand that 1 in 4 gallbladder surgeries do have complications. That's a pretty high complication rate for
Yeah.
something that's supposedly so simple. And yes, it's a very profitable surgery for the hospital. So that's something to just be aware of. You might be getting pressure and you do have options.
Hmm.
And I also want you to understand that 40% of people who have had their gallbladders removed still have digestive and abdominal pain persist.
Hmm.
So it's not just an easy fix. And it
Yeah.
does mean you're going to have to be proactive for the rest of your life.
Well, and 100% of surgeons that take a gallbladder out, they give no advice afterwards of what that person should do now that they do not have a gallbladder. And by the
Correct.
way, y'all still have a liver. So even if you had your gallbladder out, you still have a liver. So
You
this
still have a
whole
liver that
conversation still
needs
pertains.
help. It needs love. If your gallbladder's in distress, your liver definitely is.
Yeah.
So you still need some love for the liver, and it might need extra love now that you don't have a place like your gallbladder's like your catcher's mitt or your purse that holds on to that liquid gold detergent, condenses it down just the right pH so that it is anti-cancerous,
Hmm.
so that your bile is really good at breaking down those fat soluble vitamins and helping you to absorb those from your food so that it is really able to neutralize your stomach acid and protect your small intestine. Without that, you want to be really intentional about some digestive support. Do you want to cover that now before we move on
Yeah.
since we've
Let's
got
do
like
it.
this weird cliffhanger that we created?
Let's do it.
Okay, so just real quick, consider what your digestive support is if you no longer have a gallbladder. I do want you to double down and do a liver protocol for yourself that helps flush things out and really reclaim your liver efficiency when you don't have one. But in the meantime, at least create some digestive support for yourself. So it's really popular to do like a cap of ox bile with meals just to support. Another alternative that is vegetarian vegan is Tudka.
Mm-hmm.
So Tudka is a bile salt that's very expensive for your body to conjugate. And it's basically the king of bile builders and the king of bile movers. So if you no longer have a gallbladder, it's great to take a cap of Tudka with meals just for that additional digestive support. So you're not creating a bigger problem. And even with that alone, you may see some of your ongoing digestive discomfort start to resolve. So that's something to do. And then just play around with that HCl enzyme, um, you know, bitters, bile builders balance so that you have enough digestive support because it's very common for your stomach to um, basically soften the stomach acid, so making it less acidic, so higher pH when it knows that you don't have healthy bile flow to meet it afterwards. But that means that you're opening the door to parasites. That means that you're not having enough of that breakdown happen in the stomach the way it's supposed to of your food. So it's ready to be for the enzymes in your small intestine and to continue the digestive process. So you do want as healthy a level of stomach acid as you can withstand. And that may mean taking a cap of HCl or even 2 or 3 in the middle of your meals, because it's also natural for us to decline our HCl as we age. So it's something to
Well,
pay attention to, especially in midlife and beyond.
and again, Hashimoto patients, chronically low HCl. I mean, that's just that's a classic combination. Yeah.
Great point.
Hmm. Yeah. So really,
Exactly.
all Hashi patients should be taking some form of HCl, digestive enzymes, a little bit of ox bile. I love that stack. Everybody should be taking that with every meal, really.
Yeah, it's just great insurance for you. It takes some of the pressure off your body if you do have some healing work to do, because you need to be able to break down and absorb your food in order to do that healing work.
Yeah.
Right? That just makes sense. So
Yeah, exactly. So, kind of going back to the gallbladder, if someone doesn't have a gallbladder, does the liver work overtime? Like, is it doing
yeah,
double
so it
the
starts
work?
to compensate.
Yeah.
So you might see some weird behaviors, but truly, the liver's super smart, guys. You don't have to micromanage it. If you create a protocol for yourself where you're clearing out the liver and you're helping it to regain its own efficiency, it will find that level of compensation for you. Remember, it's the ultimate ultimate multitasker. There we go. Whew. What does that mean? Those 500 jobs that it's responsible for, it's doing over 200 of those at any given time. So
Wow.
it's highly capable of prioritizing and responding to the conditions around it and within it. We can support it best by clearing out the stored junk in the bile ducts so that it can return to its own state of compensation.
Okay.
So that looks like using bile movers and bile builders in the beginning, making sure you have the right binders in place for the toxins you've been exposed to.
Hmm.
So if you've been exposed to mold in the past, as so many Hashis folks have,
Hmm.
then you definitely want a binder in place that can mop up that mold versus heavy metals or just your garden variety of herbicides and pesticides that we've all gotten over the years, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on that note, let me ask you this. So, I know, I mean, and you see this every day in your practice too. A lot of, I'll say Hashi patients, but all people, just people in general, they get sucked down these rabbit holes of doing like an super expensive mold detox protocol. And then they'll go over here and they're going to do a heavy metal detox protocol with, all these chemicals, DMSA, DMSO, all that. And then they'll go over here and they'll do some Instagram protocol that came across their feed for their liver, and it's like a Beyonce cayenne pepper detox. And they're doing all of this crazy stuff, getting sucked down all these rabbit holes. But in listening to you, it just sounds like, no, guys, this is simple. You don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a heavy metal detox and a mold detox. And you just need to break it down and support your liver, support your gallbladder, like bind the stuff the right way. And yes, you might need a guide for that. We're going to talk about that more, but it doesn't have to be that complicated and that expensive, is what I'm hearing. Am I right?
Yeah, if you're doing it in the right order, things get a lot simpler, first of all. So I totally sympathize because I had to do all those things and I tried a bunch of stuff that didn't work. And I felt like a ping pong,
Yeah.
or with a pinball in the pinball machine of just like getting knocked around by every little guru out there because I didn't know how to sort through it all.
Yes. Yes.
So
Exactly.
it is frustrating for sure. One of the things that we want to remember is that the principles of healing still apply, and that simplifies things dramatically. So, yeah, you might have a broad range of presentation. You might be the only listener who has this exact set of 11 symptoms out of 300 that, could present as thyroid and liver issues together. But the root causes are very few. So things do simplify dramatically. And the approach to those root causes should always include let's assess what those root causes are. So, yes, if you've been exposed to mold, you do want to tackle that head on. That's going to be the fastest path forward. But not all mold protocols are created equal. So, don't feel pressure to jump into something right away because most of it out there is garbage. Just like any healing modality, any healing discipline, any set of class of supplements, most of it is very poorly done. Doesn't mean that they're bad or evil, they just might be misinformed.
Right.
And there's not a lot of transparency in the supply chain for supplements.
Right.
So take your time, do your research. You can afford to wait and make a well measured decision. In the meantime, yeah, you should be doing things to support drainage and energy production. What is drainage? It sounds gross, right? It's exactly what we've been talking about this whole time. It's the flow of the body. It's making sure your bowels are moving first because you
Hmm.
can't flush a clogged toilet. You're not going to push detox. if you're not pooping. That's
Right.
insane. You will get unnecessary symptoms, and that's where things like coffee enemas come in, because they support both, the mechanical excretion of junk that's built up in the colon in a cost-effective way, but also they support liver detox, right? And liver efficiency in general. So we think about drainage support, flow, focusing on flow from the bottom up, move your bowels, gut motility. What might you need for that? Well, honestly, bile flow. Bile flow is a great gut motility support. That
Mhm.
helps you reclaim your migrating motor complex that keeps that small intestine gently massaging food downwards. And so that just gets back to liver efficiency.
And you know what I love about you when I even reach out to you for help with me, you do simplify it. So, to your point, there's so much information out there. It's so easy to get overwhelmed when you're being bombarded with that much info. And especially the average health consumer scrolling Instagram. I mean, by the end of the day, you could have bought 25 different protocols and not know what to do with any of them. And where you end up moving into, because I could see this, I see this in my practice, and I could easily see myself moving into this headspace of screw it, I'm not going to do anything because I'm so confused and so overwhelmed, and there's so many products and so many things I have to do. I don't have even time in my day to get all of this in and to do it. It's unrealistic. And that's what I love about you is that you simplify it. You simplify it. And so you mentioned the big C word, coffee, enema, the CE word. So I want to talk about that because until we were working together, I had not done a coffee enema. And when I heard that word thrown around, I easily got intimidated. I'm like, I don't want to stick coffee up my bum and explode all over my bathroom. But again, you simplified it. So talk about the benefits of the coffee enema, and I will share my own experience with doing coffee enemas.
Well, first of all, if this sounds weird to you, that's normal. Like it sounds insane. Like let's shove some coffee up the wrong orifice. Of course, that sounds insane.
Right.
When I discovered that Michael, my fiance, was doing these behind my back, I literally caught him sneaking up to the bedroom or the bathroom upstairs with a full enema bucket of coffee, and I was like,
I've totally
"What is
stuck to the,
that?
yes, you got to hide this from your spouse.
What
You
is
can't.
that?" Yeah. Yeah. And my immediate thought when he did that, just between us girls, was, oh, we're never having sex again. That is very weird. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was
So
concerned about. So I hid it from my
yeah,
husband. Yeah.
100%. So it's hilarious. It's like a weird kind of karma that I now teach this for a living.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be scary. And let's just focus on what the reasons are for this first. So the apocryphal story goes, I mean, enemas are in the Bible, like we've been doing them for thousands of years. We've been doing them in Egypt. Like enemas are great to support the body to release things when it's not in a position to let go efficiently without help. So water enemas are great, and we've been experimenting with different enema formulas throughout the years. This has only recently been taken out of hospitals in favor of medication instead. But it's known that we need help releasing when we're not feeling well. It's, a very typical reaction of the body to need some drainage support, especially after big things like toxin exposures or surgeries.
Yeah.
That's normal. So the apocryphal story about coffee enemas and how this all got started was during World War One. There was a nurse who was tasked with um, providing the enema after a surgery to the soldiers, and they ran out of water, and all she had on hand was a little bit of coffee in a coffee pot for this one guy, this one soldier, and he got well so much faster over the next couple of days that the surgeon asked, "What did you do differently?" And so that, who knows if that's true? I love that story, but it is just a story. What we do know is that Dr. Gerson popularized the concept of vegetable juicing and coffee enemas as a natural way to support people to resolve their own cancer, a
Mhm.
non-surgical cancer remedy. And that started back in the 1920s in Germany, and it grew in popularity quite rapidly despite a number of attempts to suppress that information. So even today, the Gerson clinic persists. And it's how this concept got popularized, because what we now know is coffee enemas are highly anti-inflammatory. It's weird, but if you use organic green roast, so that's usually called a therapeutic roast coffee beans, so it's lightly roasted, you preserve most of the palmitic acid crystals.
Mhm.
Well, that's really important because that's the information that is getting sent from the coffee enema to the liver in order to tell the liver, you know what we should do? We should let go of old sluggish bile and build fresh new bile that's not sluggish, right? And let's boost glutathione production by several 100% for the next several hours. Studies show 600%, some studies show over 700% of glutathione production boosts from
Mhm.
a coffee enema. That's really interesting because glutathione is necessary for both phases of liver detox, but it's also your body wide master antioxidant. It's reducing oxidative damage, reversing it, in fact, and it's reducing inflammation. And it's like your natural anti aging magic wand. So that's why people love these so much, is because once you get through the first few like weirdnesses of like, where does the tube go? How do I make sure I'm not spraying coffee enema or something else out of my butt all along my bathroom wall?
Right.
It's so embarrassing. Once you figure out the mechanics of it, you start to notice that you can count on a body wide anti inflammatory response after coffee enema. And it's not just because when you do an enema, you have this perfect shortcut right from the colon lining. There's this really perfect network of veins that go straight to the liver. So you
Mhm.
can uptake anything from the colon through any enema formula. It's not just those palmitic acid crystals in a coffee enema, straight to the liver to give the liver information. So it's not just about that, though. It's also because you're distending the colon with just enough. So it's like usually 32 ounces of warm liquid,
Mhm.
body temperature liquid. It produces that vagal activation. So you get this body wide anti inflammatory response that you can count on because you just switched over into parasympathetic dominance. So it's why people who are healing start to figure out, oh, headache, think coffee enema. Oh, backache, think coffee enema. Oh,
Yeah.
skin flare, coffee enema,
Well, that's
for
what
all
you
these
taught
reasons.
me. And that was in my head. Like literally, if I had a headache, I'm like, I remember Sinclair saying, headache, coffee enema, and I would go do it. Yeah.
Proud of you. You're
Right.
such a good student.
Right. I know. I know. There's something to it. And after my surgery, I'm like, can I do a coffee enema? I'm like day 2. But I so badly wanted to get all that shit out of me that they put into me during surgery. And it was great. And like I said, I mean, your help truly, I believe, helped me speed heal.
I love that.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a joy to support you, babe. I wish everybody would know about these because, and it's why we teach them in almost every course, but we really help people learn different enema formulas and stuff. And like, the rapid liver reset one
Hmm.
that we do,
Yep.
because this is a way for you to speed up healing and ultimately end up needing way less pills, way less
Yeah.
supplements, way less medication, because you're working with the body's own excretion strategies and your own detox strategies, and you're inducing that full body anti inflammatory response so that your body can go into rest, digest, heal, repair, detox overdrive.
Yeah. Exactly. And I will say, okay, I said I would tell people about my experience. Yes, just like you said, the first time you're like, where do I put the tube? What tip should I use that fits in my bum just right? But I got to tell you, the way Sinclair tells you how to do it is perfect. All the everything you have to buy for it, the right canister, the right tube with a little valve that you can turn on and off. Everything is perfection the way that she trains you. And so my first one, I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. It honestly was not bad at all. I remember texting him like I held it for 5 minutes, and that was a
I
win,
know, I was
right?
so
So
proud.
so proud, so proud. But yeah, it really, it honestly, it is not bad. I was intimidated as well. I thought, what the hell am I doing? But you do that first one and oh, you just feel so good. You feel cleaned out. Now, even though I didn't hold it as long as I wanted to, as long as it kind of we work up to that of holding it longer and longer. And I'll let you explain the why so that everything can get up in there and do its thing. But and if you're watching on YouTube, you just saw some really interesting hand movements with as I was describing the coffee going into us. But it was not bad. No, you do not explode all over your bathroom. You're fine. You can make it to the toilet. Sinclair trained you. Don't get up after the first release. Stay on, sit there. Another release is going to come. And then you just go about the rest of your day. No, you're not running to the bathroom all day long either. It really is just a maybe 15 minutes to a half an hour out of your day to significantly up level your health. It's really not that bad. So, Sinclair, why is it that we want to kind of work our way up? You know, obviously you start off holding it. I mean, some people will just do 30 seconds to a minute the first time, but then you work your way up to holding that coffee in longer. So, why is that?
It's a great question. So, anytime we were using an enema formula to try to provide encouragement to the body, you want more time to absorb the good stuff, right? So, if you've prepared the coffee correctly, meaning you did not use a paper filter, you used a French press, to preserve it, or you made a batch of coffee concentrate, which we'd show you how to do.
Mm-hmm.
You've preserved the coffee, the great part about it, which is the palmitic acid crystals. So we want time for those to travel up to the liver, and we want time for those to go to work and have blood circulating through the liver, which supposedly, I don't know how this is possible because it blows my mind every time, but most of the body's blood supply gets through the liver every 3 minutes. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So we're trying for three or cycles of that or a little bit longer. We want to ideally have, over 10 minutes that you're holding a coffee enema. You will see, increased benefits if you're able to hold it that long. But there's diminishing returns for much longer than that. So please don't go for records. There's no need to be extreme about this. We're just talking about 32 ounces of liquid that's body temperature, and then you'll release it.
Yeah.
So this is helpful because we want a little bit more time to absorb the good stuff. And later on, like what we teach our students is how to add in different supplements and different tinctures into the enemas to supercharge them. Like if you're working on parasites, you can add an antiparasitic to your coffee enema. If you are really underweight and extremely ill and struggling with absorption, you can add minerals to your coffee enema because they're absorbed so quickly and efficiently into the bloodstream. So there's lots of different tricks for different health conditions along the way that would make you want to hold this for a little longer. In the beginning, though, guys, you're just practicing on taking it in and making sure you don't spray the bathroom wall and then getting to the toilet and then releasing.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it, your body's not used to this. It's going to say, oh, okay, something's coming in. Great. Thanks for finally helping me out to get this weird junk out. I would like to let go right now, please. So great. You can practice with a body temperature, distilled water first
Mm-hmm.
and do a little clean out, do a little bowel movement with that, and then do your coffee enema
Mm-hmm.
so that you're holding on for longer or holding it for longer.
And I
Lots of
will
little
be
tips
your
and tricks.
cheerleader. It's not that bad. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So you're just going to hear me cheering you on in the bathroom if you guys go through with this.
I
So
know, right? Michael tricked me into doing this. He's like, just do this for 2 weeks. You can do anything for 2 weeks. And yeah, here we are, what, 10, 15 years later.
So now how often do you do the coffee enemas just for maintenance?
I was doing them up to daily because I was working on such a difficult issue with, I ended up releasing thousands of gallstones with the right coffee enema formulas and these supplement stacks. And if I pulsed it just right, I could get out stones almost every time without ever drinking the olive oil and all that stuff. And now we teach that, right? Because we want to help people offload all those cholesterol deposits
Mm-hmm.
that are junking up your bile ducts. And you would know that you need to do that if you're dealing with like a chronic inflammatory condition, whether it's rheumatoid arthritis or Hashimoto's or digestive conditions like that. All signs point to needing a little clean out. So I was doing them daily for months and then almost daily for a couple of years. And then I stopped doing them at all for a couple of years. And then now I cycle back through and do them a couple times a week. I would say most months out of the year, but just depends. I kind of view it as like buying insurance.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
It's good for you, and then you can use it for those targeted things like if you have a headache, if you have a backache, if you're sick, post surgery, anything. It's great for a
exactly.
hangover, all of it. So,
Yeah, it's great for
yeah.
recovery after travel,
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff. I'm getting ready for this wedding. So, yes, I'm doing them a couple times a week right now.
Right. Exactly. Keep your skin nice. Yeah. I love it. I love it. All right. So if people do want to learn more, they want your guidance, just like you gave me guidance. You have a program starting coming up. Rapid Liver Reset is coming up. So can you tell people about that? And then we can put all the information down the show notes for them. But yeah, tell people about your program.
Yeah, thanks. So we do rapid liver reset a couple times a year. It's a crowd favorite for sure because we get everybody from all these different walks of life. If it's your skin or your thyroid or your digestive issues that's got your attention, it's a wonderful thing to just go through and help your liver speed up its efficiency. So it's also customizable. Like there's 3 different tracks. If you're new to detoxing, you just want to tip your toe in the water, or you're really sensitive and you've learned the hard way that most detoxes are too harsh for you, there's a lane for that. We call it the gentle healing lane. There's also a lane for people that are like, yeah, I've done, enemas and I've done those Hulda Clark style liver flushes, but I still have problems. What's wrong with me? How can I bust through these deep seated layers of stagnation? There's a lane for that. We call that the deep healing lane. And then for all the sane people in the middle, there's the slow and steady lane. So it's highly customizable to you, how fast you go, which tools you use. And we teach you how to be in charge of all that. So that's my favorite part about it. I'm really proud of making it so customizable. I was super sensitive and a giant wuss. So we designed that lane for me for sure in the
Uh-huh.
beginning. And everybody in between is taken care of too. So yeah, it's a live experience where we take you through with Q&As once a week. And it's basically like a big liver party. It's hilarious because we want the wave of the momentum of that cohort to carry you forward. So uh, everybody who's in there is like really gets it that
Yeah.
it's
No, I've
not
had
for the
hundreds of
faint of heart to
patients.
do this self-healing stuff, right?
You have to. You have to learn the right way to do it. And no, I've had hundreds of patients go through rapid liver reset, and you only have it twice a year. So that's why I'm loving that we're doing this interview now, and you have it coming up where people listening can jump in and get on this bandwagon and learn and start up leveling their health because it's so important. I mean, just if we haven't drove home the point yet of how important your liver is, I mean, I don't know what will, because this discussion is really, I mean, it's even enlightened me. And I'm like, okay, I need to get back on the horse now. I kind of slacked off a little bit now that I'm feeling good after my surgery, but it
Yeah.
it just reminds me like I'm still processing toxins. I still need to support my body. And now the goal is to never hear the C word again. And not coffee enema, I mean cancer. So I never want to hear that word again. So I need to do this continuously and learn continuously from you in order to keep my health at a higher level.
I think it's really important, especially in midlife and beyond, that we take control over the quality of our life. That we need to be the CEO of our own health, right? And this is just such an easy way to do that at home that's so cost effective and, really puts you back in the driver's seat. So you can heal at your own pace and you can still thrive in this toxic day and age. That's why I love talking about poison because it is fixable. This is
Mm-hmm.
not a doomsday scenario. It is not too late to feel
Right.
good. We just need to be able to see the problems, face them head on at a pace that's right for you.
I agree. Totally agree. Well, thank you, Sinclair. Thank you for helping me so much. And thank you for being there to help millions of others up level their health and get better and deal with this toxic world. So, like I said, we'll put all the links in the show notes for you all to check out the Rapid Liver Reset. Only happens twice a year. It's happening now. We're recording this beginning of July. So click down below, check it out right now, sign up and take your health to the next level. I promise you won't regret it. So Sinclair, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge.
It's a joy. Thanks for being such an advocate for women in the space.
Ah, you too. Right back at you.